Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. On today's agenda, we will be testing out the new Tati Beauty Blendiful. It is still in its packaging. I have not opened it, seen it, touched it, smelled it, all the above. I've been very intrigued with this and I honestly wasn't really planning on buying it, but I love Tati's eyeshadow palette. I don't know. I was like, you know what, how am I gonna know if I like it or not if I don't try it? It was the same thing with those Juno & Co. Velvet like microfiber sponges. I was like, I don't know about that, but I ended up actually really loving it. So this might be a situation like that. We might love it, we might hate it. I feel like the only way I can truly test it is if I do half of my face using the Blendiful and then the other half with a beauty blender or just like my regular methods to see if there really is a difference in the application, how it looks on my skin, the convenience, does it make it easier, harder, you know, the whole shebang. So with all that said, let's put the Blendiful to test. So here we have the Blendiful in the bag. I'm gonna open it up with you guys, a little ASMR. On the back of the packaging, it says cleaning instructions, machine wash and dry in a delicate laundry bag or gentle hand wash in warm soapy water, rinse thoroughly and blot dry, do not bleach, do not dry clean, 100% polyester, polyurethane. First up, we have a little heart puff, and this is, I believe, look, I haven't seen that many videos. I'm going based off of like my own opinions. I've seen a very few. I feel like everybody formed their own opinion in some way or another that's a little different just based off of, you know, your personal method, your convenience and all that jazz. So I'm very excited to put this to the test. We have the heart and then we have the alien head, let's call it, because it's gray and it's shaped like an alien. Anyways, so this little heart is definitely a little bit firmer. Yeah, it's less bendy. It still bends, but I can tell it's like a little bit firmer, like I said 500 times. And this one has a really fluid, I like it. I like it a lot. It's very, very soft. This is going to feel very odd putting liquid products, like liquid and cream products, with something that feels like a jacket, like a fuzzy jacket. I believe this one is really good for small areas or blotting throughout the day or just like touching up. So we are going to mainly focus on this one. According to her, you can use it for everything: primer, foundation, concealer, cream contour, powder. Your whole face can be done with this. I'm very curious about that. I have my reservations, but we're gonna find out. I am definitely one of those people who feels very weird using makeup brushes and things without washing them first, but I don't feel like putting this in my washing machine right now, waiting for it to wash and then dry and then just, no. I also have my sponge. I decided to use like a good old beauty blender today because I feel like a lot of people have a beauty blender. I have a crap ton of other sponges I really like too. I feel like this is the most general thing to compare it to. So with that said, let's get into testing it. I think I'm gonna do the Blendiful on this side of my face and I'm gonna use like my regular methods on this side. We're gonna start with a primer, and it's the Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer in Perfecting. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply my primer with my hand on this side because that is how I would typically do it. I feel like that was too much for half my face, but oh well. I feel like it'd be really interesting to see if the Blendiful soaks up product too. So right now my skin feels really plump. I can tell I put like a lot of primer on. Okay, I'm gonna take about the same amount I put on the other side, which is probably too much. Let's smear it on. It feels really nice. It doesn't feel bad, but it feels really odd. Like again, like I took the sleeve of my fuzzy sweater and I'm just wiping it on my face and it's like a little bit damp. So this is a little bit wet. You can't see actually, but my face feels like it didn't absorb it all into this. I can definitely feel the wetness from the primer on my face, which is fantastic. Okay, because when you're swiping it, you're like, oh my god, is anything even going on my face? But it's good. I wouldn't say that this side is better than that side or this side is better than that side. I feel like the primer is just on my face and that's all that really matters. I don't think we're gonna see a difference with that. So let's move on to foundation. So like we did with the primer, I'm gonna go into this side with my regular method. So I'm gonna take my sponge. I have the mixture on the back of my hand. I'm not going to use all of it, so I can dip my Blendiful into it. I feel like it's also been so long since I've used like an actual beauty blender. That's about one layer of the foundation. It looks okay. It looks pretty good. Dang, what a difference. My skin's been going through it and like not even just like breaking out. It's just been so red. and blotchy. Now it's time for the Blendiful side. I'm really nervous about this. I don't know why. Like the thought of getting foundation all over this, like, but we shall see. I'm gonna use the same point that we used for the primer because I'm gonna reserve the other sides for everything else. Oh my god, that looks so weird. We're going to kind of swipe and pat. Right off the bat, I'm getting less coverage kind of, but let's build this up a little. I'm gonna fold it like a taco so we can really kind of press this into the skin, which is quite convenient because it can literally fit in like all your crevices. I do definitely see a huge difference on both sides of my face. I have pretty much put the same amount of foundation on both sides of my face, and now that I've kind of just really patted this into the skin, blended it out, it doesn't look as scary as when I first put it on. It looks not bad. I would say there's definitely areas on my face that don't look amazing. Like I can see just some texture, or like I don't know what's happening here. I also feel like it's a little bit more dry looking on my skin because a beauty blender is a little bit damp and moist. So when you're applying any cream product with that, it kind of applies it a little bit more wet, if that makes sense. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't think it's really absorbed that much product, which is really nice as well. I just feel like I need to go in with like a little bit more foundation. I want to see what happens when I put it just directly on here. I'm just gonna tap it in the cheek area just because I feel like I need more coverage there, and I want to see how this kind of builds. With foundation, I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. I think for this round, I definitely prefer my Beauty Blender, just because if I kind of, around my nose where I have like that redness, if I kind of go like that, the foundation's gone. If I take my Beauty Blender and do that too, you get like less foundation off. This one just feels like it's not really pressed into my skin. The foundation's just sitting on top of my skin. I'm not mad at it. Like if this was the only tool left in the world to do your makeup with, I would be fine with that. I also feel like the sponge is a hair easier to use just because I found myself kind of buffing and making sure I don't have any like streaks or like awkward patchy coverage like with the Blendiful. This sponge, I just kind of pounced it until I was done and it just blends itself out. I'm gonna go into concealer. I'm taking a Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue Concealer. And again, I'm going to do this side first with my sponge. Oh dang it, I usually cream contour first. It's okay. We take easy sponge and I like to bring it on top of my lid. Easy peasy, we're done. I just kind of wiped this on a paper towel and it seemed to kind of remove a lot of the foundation. So I'm going to use this side again for my concealer. I'm just going to tap it into the skin because generally that's what I do to my concealers. I don't want to move it around. I just kind of want to press it in. I'm going to do the taco again. I'm going to fold it and get kind of like a little pointiness to it. And we are going to blend the concealer out. Like, I don't even want to look in the mirror. I'm like very nervous. I will say I have no problems getting close to like my lower lash line and like fitting in there. Like I have no problems with that. It is very like bendy. I was gonna say blendy. Well, I mean it is blendy too, but I feel like I can see the difference and I feel like you guys can too. My under eye looks a lot brighter on this side. Like it almost looks like it has more coverage. More of the concealer got left on my skin. Whereas this side, I feel like the Beauty Blender kind of just like took away some of the coverage but also left it very smooth. The Blendiful side, it looks very cakey. My under eye, like it doesn't look the best. It kind of enhanced the texture on my skin. Like this side is so smooth, like right in here it's very smooth, but this side I could see like my little pores. It's kind of like cakey in some areas. Underneath my eye just does not look amazing. Like even around my nose it still looks a little cakey. It's a lot smoother on this side. All right, so I gotta say this round concealer, again, I prefer like the sponge side. By the way, if it was not clear, I bought the Blendiful myself, so this is gonna be a very honest review. And if I happen to not be using it right for any reason, which I feel like it shouldn't be very difficult for people to pick up on how to use a product, like there should not be like a 40-page like user manual to use something, you know what I mean? If I'm using it wrong for any reason, like this is how I have seen it being used, and I don't think she made a formal video yet. Maybe she did, and maybe by the time I post this she would have, so she did. I don't know that yet. I'm gonna go into my cream contour, and this is the Charlotte Tilbury Contour Wand Easy Contour. It looks very intense, but it blends very easily. That's why I chose to use this with the Blendiful. because it is quite creamy and liquidy. I feel like it would be really easy. Usually I like to go in with a brush to blend my contour, but a sponge works just as fine. So I'm going to kind of angle this and push it into my skin. So there we are with the sponge side. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the Blendiful. All right, here we go. I feel like with the, oh my god. Oh boy. I feel like with the Blendiful with cream contour, instead of just pushing it into my skin, I feel like I have to kind of swipe it to blend it. So that's what I'm going to do. That's just kind of what like comes naturally to me. And boy, do you get so much more product with this. I feel like that's the good thing. Like I've noticed that I've had more concealer left over the cream contour. Like I put the same amount and I have so much more on this side. Actually, I don't hate the cream contour blended with this. It looked, you know, it's pretty quick, seamless, at least in my eyes. I don't hate that. It didn't take away the coverage of my foundation. It looks really smooth. I have definitely more like contour on this side, so it's definitely not really soaking up product. This is what my Blendiful looks like right now. Not bad at all. This is what my Beauty Blender looks like, which you can tell there's a crap ton of more product stuck in here. Like if I was to press this on a paper towel, oh yeah, that's like there's like a lot of product. And then if I press this, let me just show you. That's my Beauty Blender and that's the Blendiful. I just pressed the tip of both products and that's what it gave me. For cream contour, I think I'm choosing the Blendiful. Now we are moving on to powder products. I have very high hopes for this. I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way Ethereal Setting Powder because I ran out of my Laura Mercier. I do have more, but I need to go find it. So we're gonna set the under eye with the sponge side first. Press that right underneath the eyes. My under eyes on the Blendiful side look atrocious, so I don't know what's gonna happen. I really don't like the way it looks right now. It just kind of looks a little bit more textured. Not a fan of that. And I just want to make sure my face is nice and set. I'm just taking a fluffy brush and just dusting all that powder away. I don't really bake. I feel like it just dries my face out too much. I've chosen a new clean side to use with the powder. So I'm gonna pick some up. This is gonna be really, oh my god. This is gonna be really interesting. I'm kind of scared. That's a lot of powder. We are going to press. A lot of powder goes a long way with this because it's not soaking anything up, which is great. And I kind of don't even need to brush the powder away with a brush. I can just do it with a sponge and it looks really good. I don't mind it. I still don't like the way my under eyes look from the concealer, but the powder, it looks good. I feel like I have a lot less coverage on this area of my face versus this side right here. I don't know why, just less coverage. I can't really see a huge difference, but I can definitely see a very big difference in my skin on both sides. So I don't know if you can use this with your powder bronzers and blushes, but you know what? We're gonna do the whole face. We're gonna do highlight, everything. Why not? I'm gonna go into the Morphe Glamour Bronze and Icon, and I'm taking that on this Real Techniques brush. I do not use my Beauty Blender for powder products like bronzers and blushes and stuff. Terrifying. Okay, so oh my god. All right, I'm gonna tap it out a little. You know what? That does not look bad. It actually applied it quite well and quite easily. I feel like I have a different look though. This is a little bit more diffused, and with the brush I feel like I have more of like a chisel, and this is just kind of more of a diffused. Maybe it's the way I put it on, but I feel like both sides can work. Let's go into some blush. The Kylie Baddie on the Block. I'm gonna go in with a brush first. I like a really diffused like blush, like going upwards. Ooh, I chose such a pink color today. All right, this is what the Blendiful looks like. I'm going to use that clean spot right there. It is, I mean, it has a lot of angles to it. So I'm gonna take some of the blush and I'm going to press this into my cheek. Ooh. Oh, okay, you guys, this, I like this. It really just diffuses it. Like, I think this is a winner for like powder product. It applies powder products really well. I'm gonna take a powder highlighter. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Amrezy. This is like one of those highlighters that like no matter what highlight I love and that comes out something new, I always go back to this because it's just so pretty on the skin. I have found another clean angle to the Blendiful. I'm gonna pick up some of the highlighter. Okay, let's apply these. Ooh. I don't see why this wouldn't apply powder products very well because, wow, it applies quite a bit. Like, this really puts on a lot more product than I'm used to. Interesting. I feel like it's my fault. I accidentally brought it a little too low. I don't really like putting highlighter here because it kind of emphasizes the pores. But it doesn't look terrible. It really doesn't look terrible on this side. Like, it applied the highlighter. It's not like super like a strip. Like, it blends it out because it's like really fuzzy. So it's not terrible. I feel like I prefer the brush because I have a little bit more control. I'm gonna do my nose. I don't know what these sounds are. Okay. You know, this is not bad. It's not like removing foundation. It's not making it look weird and patchy. It applies it quite, that's a nose highlight. All right, so that is my whole face with the Blendiful and my regular methods. I'm gonna go ahead and do my brows and something really simple to my eyes and lips, and I will be back to give you guys kind of my final thoughts. What do I think of the Blendiful and is it worth it? So BRB. I'm back with the rest of my makeup done. I am now going to assess the situation and see what's going on my face. I gotta say, it looks pretty good. I do feel a lot more like matte. Like, I feel like I have a lot of powder on my face, but I can just go in and like spritz my skin with something hydrating to take that away, no problem. I feel like my bronzer is a little bit more blown out on this side, and this side it feels a little bit more chiseled, but that could just be me. Like, it will definitely take some practice, getting used to trying different techniques with the Blendiful to really like master it. The highlighter, I think I brought it a little bit too low onto my cheek, so it looks a little like artificial to me. It's just a little bit too much, but again, that's something that I could probably most likely fix myself. The foundation honestly looks pretty similar on both sides. I wouldn't say there's a huge difference. I just feel like this side looks a hair smoother, and I absolutely do not like the way my under eyes look like, so I probably most likely will not be using this for concealer and maybe foundation. Everything else, like powder products like bronzer, blush, highlight, I don't mind. I feel like I'm gonna be really trying this out, testing it out, and seeing what it's about. This is what my Blendiful looks like after a full face. Now, here is where I have my reservations. So now that I've used it once, typically if I use a sponge, I do not use the same sponge again. I have a whole bowl of sponges I go through, and then I just wash them all. I don't like using a dirty sponge again, like wetting it again with all that grime in there and then doing it for my face again. Like, I'm just not one of those people. If you do that, that's great. I just use it once. So with that said, I don't know how I feel about using this again while it's dirty. I don't know how often you're supposed to clean it and how often I would realistically clean this and reach for it. If I was to use this just for setting my face with loose powder, maybe I can use different corners like every day for like a couple days and get away with it, which is totally fine. But to do a whole face of makeup and have it look like this and then the next day sit down and use the same sponge, I don't know, I personally just feel like weird about that. I'm sure you can. But with that said, am I going to wash this after every time I do my makeup? Probably not, meaning I probably won't reach for it as often because knowing I have to clean it as often, I don't know. Also, just realized I didn't even use a little baby here. So what I want to do with this is, I feel like this is perfect for touch-ups. Throw this in a little container, put in your purse, and you know, dust out your little smile lines throughout the day, in between your brows, touch up your powder, take like a little pressed powder and maybe replace the little sponge that comes in pressed powders with this. That would be a really cute idea. I wonder if I could do that. So this is my Makeup Forever Velvet Matte Powder that is absolutely beautiful and I love it so much. And surprise, surprise, look what's in here. The little spongy, which it fits. Like, I mean, it doesn't fit perfectly, but if I kind of smush it in there, and it kind of has like a click to it, so it's in there and it's not opening. So this is definitely something that I can take with me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dip a little bit of the heart part, and I'm going to pretend I need to touch up my face and see what happens. I'm gonna just do it in my smile line right here, add a little bit of powder. I actually don't hate that. I don't really have any lines on my face right now, but I could see this being kind of a cool tool. You could take the pointy side when you're doing your makeup and maybe using a brightening powder and like pressing that in underneath your eyes like this. That would be a pretty cool idea because it's definitely a lot stiffer. So it's something that you want to probably blend out smile lines because it has more of a firmness to it. Oh my god, what am I trying to say? I did really quickly want to compare it to the Laura Mercier one. It's the only other powder puff that I do have. This one is a little bit more bendy. This one's a little bit more firm. I'd say that these two kind of have a similar firmness to them, but this one is definitely a lot more bendy, the Blendiful. And the feeling, this is, I don't know if you can tell, they're both dirty, sorry. This one has like a longer like fibers and this one's just kind of really short. You don't see any type of hairs going in any directions, but this one you definitely do. This soft too has a different softness to it, but I'd say that this is definitely a lot more plush and soft. So I don't know. That's as much as I can tell you. Yeah. With all that said, I'm pretty sure you guys are like, get to the point, Jess. Is it worth it or not? And for both of these, it's $18. I think the price is pretty good. It's not something that's disposable where you're gonna use it a couple times and just toss it. It's something that I can see myself having for a while because you just wash it just like any type of clothing item. How it is after a long-term use of washing and using, I don't really know because it's my first time using it. However, I am going to see if I can hand wash it, what happens. I will let you guys know down in the notes in the description. Definitely check that out if you guys want to know how it was after I washed it. Sorry, my battery died. What was I saying? Also, Mia decided to join us and is very curious about the things that are on my vanity. To be honest, she's definitely softer than the Blendiful. Right, Mia? You're definitely softer. Final verdict, with a little bit of practice, I could definitely see this for working like all over the face. I'm pretty sure this is going to be so amazing for a lot of people who don't really like to use a lot of different tools, like a one-stop shop. You can go from your primer, foundation, concealer, powder, blush, bronzer, highlight, everything with one tool. I think that's such a great idea. It's gonna take me a little bit of getting used to. I probably wouldn't use this for my concealer. I could try it again and maybe it'll be better, who knows. I will definitely wash it, let you guys know how that goes and try it again. I hope this video was helpful. I'm sorry if it was like all over the place. I really hope you guys got the point of this video, and yeah, if you guys have tried the Blendiful, please let me know you guys' thoughts. As of right now, it's not sold out on her website, which I was pretty shocked. I went to buy it not too long ago and it was still available, so that's pretty good. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, mesijesibeauty, Instagram, MAKEUPBYJESI. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so before you go, and also hit that little bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. With all that said, I will see you guys in my next one. Mia, stop eating my hair. Stop it. Stop it. Bye, guys.